Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We are August the 25th. It is almost back to school. So, as a part of preparing for back to school, on today's Money Matter episode, I'm your host, Hung Lu. We are going to talk about paying off debts. And there's a couple of techniques out there. And so, we're going to look at two of them. One is called the Snowball, and one is called the Avalanche. And which one is better? It can actually be a little bit confusing. So, here's the thing. If you've got some debt and you don't know which one to pay off, just take a step back, look at this video, watch this video all the way through, and you're going to realize that you know what? It doesn't matter which one you pay off. As long as you start tackling your debt, at the end of the day, you're going to get down to the bottom of it and have a little bit less debt. Just get going on paying off your debt. And then as you're paying off your debt, you can pivot, you can change the strategy that you're using. So today we're going to talk about the snowball and the avalanche. Those are two ways to pay off your debt. One's looking at it almost like from an A to Z versus a Z to A. It's both of them will give you the same result, but it's just coming at it from a different angle. Okay, so let's go into this. Okay, and the reason why we're doing this particular debt one is because it's back to school, but also because a lot of people are carrying a lot of debt. There's just, yeah, a lot of debt going around. And sometimes if you're carrying a lot of debt, it can be really difficult to breathe and it can feel like you're in survivor mode. Okay, so let's go through this because there is stuff that you can do to help you get over that. Okay, so this is the paying down the using the snowball and the avalanche. So let's just go through this. And if you can get a handle on this, this will go a long way to helping you get that financial freedom that you want and building that knowledge base for you and your kids and your family so that you can make smart investments. Okay. And if you are living under a lot of bad debt, then you're not going to be able to build that financial independence that you want. Okay. So let's go in here. So these are the instructions tab. So we're going to just skip through this. Okay. So this first tab, which is the current tab. Okay. So this is where you would come in and you would just list all of the debts that you're currently carrying. And this could be good debt, bad debt, it doesn't matter, okay? Whether it's under your personal name or under your corporation, it doesn't matter. The idea here, so I'm going to run this example with bad debt. So this is credit cards, mortgages, loans, anything that you're carrying that isn't making you money. Because if it's making you money, then that's a completely different mindset, a different way of looking at things. So I'm basically going to run this and I'm going to assume that this is all bad debt. Okay, so if you're somebody with a mortgage, a student loan, car loan, a couple of credit cards, you may be in this situation. Okay, so let's run through this here. So I've got a couple of credit cards here, a HELOC, mortgage, student loan, car loan, MasterCard. Okay, that's a lot of debt, a lot of items. And here is the items that is the balance that you're owing on each of these items. Okay, it's not in any order or anything like that. So basically, you just want to go and get your statements and you enter the name, the amount that you currently owe on that. So the balance owing, the interest rate. So this is the annual interest rate that you have to pay on these various items, and then your minimum monthly payment. Okay, so this would usually be on your statement somewhere or the arrangement that you make, like for your mortgage, your student loan, whatever the amount is that you have to make every single month. Okay. And in this case here, I don't have any notes on these. So this is a template and I am happy to send this to anybody who wants this. So please, if you are in a situation where you want to figure out how to pay off your debts and how long it will take to pay off your debt, and hey, is the snowball way better than the avalanche way for you? Just send me a DM or message my company and we will send you this template. Okay. And seriously, there is no cost for this. It is pay what you want, pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth. Okay. So then once you have that, what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste these cells here. So there's 7 items here that we have. You're just going to copy and paste that, and you're going to copy and paste that into the next 2 tabs. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. So you copy and paste it, and then you click on the amount owing, and you're going to arrange it by smallest to largest. So the snowball effect, the snowball method, is you're going to tackle the smallest balance debt, regardless of what the interest rate is. Okay. The benefit of doing the snowball effect is that you're going to knock off the item the smallest balance owing faster. So there's an instant win, that instant gratification. And as we all know, we're living in a society where instant gratification is like, yeah, that's what fuels a lot of us. So if you're the type of person that needs that instant gratification, like, hey, you know what? I have this $5,000 debt. I can pay this off fairly quickly. Do that, knock that out. Okay. Then you tackle the next smallest item. Then you tackle the next smallest balance, and you basically keep going. So as you can see, this is in numerical order from smallest balance owing to the largest one, and the mortgage one is usually the highest. Okay. The next thing that you're going to do is you are going to go back to the current tab. That's where you entered all the data. You're going to copy that again, and you're going to dump it into the sort Avalanche one. Okay. And the Avalanche method is where you tackle your debt based on the highest interest rate that you have to pay per year. Okay. Now, this is really, really important to note that it is per year, not per month. Okay, so I was recently talking to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, Hung, I have to pay, like the interest rate was 4% a month, right? Well, if you take 4% times 12, that's 48%. That's insane. Okay, so that is what you want to target first. Okay, you don't want to be targeting your 5% interest rates or your 6% interest rate because that's super, super low. Okay, now the challenge with the Avalanche is that you are tackling the highest interest rate first, but it may take you a very long time to pay that first one off. And so that instant gratification just isn't there, right? So that one comes with a little bit more discipline. Okay, so once you copy and paste it, you click on the interest rate and you filter it, okay, from highest to lowest. Okay, once you do that, you can see the interest owing doesn't matter, right? Because it's not based on that, it's based on the interest rate. Okay, so now once you have that done, okay, the next thing that you're going to do is how much cash do you have each month to pay towards your debt? This is once you get your paycheck coming in, how much extra cash do you have to pay off all your debts? So this is after you pay off your groceries. Like this is extra cash, okay? And if you're in that situation where you have no extra cash, well, that's where the challenge is coming from, right? Is figuring out how to get that extra cash. So in this example, I'm putting 8,000 in. Okay, so if you have $1,000, put 1,000. If you've got 5,000, put 5,000. Okay, so I'm using 8,000 here. So you just put 8,000 into this green box. Okay, then you click on the summary. Okay, the reason why I put 8,000 here is because our total minimum payments that we have to make is 6,770. Okay, so if you have 5,000 to pay off your debt, you're not going to have enough money. Like you literally don't even have enough money to pay for your mortgage because your mortgage here is $5,500. Okay, so you already need to have enough to cover your mortgage payment. Okay, so this, like I said, we're assuming that that this mortgage payment is your primary property. Like this is the one where you live at. Okay, so what this summary table is that it just pulls the data from the other tabs, and it basically will tell you how long it will take you to pay off each of the debt. Okay, so this is assuming compounding interest already. So this is the minimum amount of time. Okay, and this is basically assuming that, hey, you're going to tackle low, this low amount first, and then any extra cash that you have from that minimum payment and your 1,230. Okay, so I'm just going to take a step back here and explain this 1,230. You have $8,000 of cash available after after when you get your paycheck coming in. Okay, your minimum payments that you have to make every single month is 6,770. That means after you pay all this off, you still have $1,200 left over. Okay, so you're going to make your minimum payment to your lowest balance that you're carrying, which is $10, plus this 1,200 is going to go towards this particular debt. Okay, so that means after 5 months, this first RBC of $5,000 will be paid off. Okay, that means in 5 months, you'll pay this first credit card balance off. Okay, now, so this is assuming that all this extra cash that you have is going to pay towards your debt. You're not saving, you're not putting any money towards your RSPs, your TFSA, you're not buying stocks, you're not buying any investments. Okay, you're not saving. This also means that you're not increasing your debt load. Okay, you're not adding any more debt. Your debt is staying steady and you're just paying it down. Okay, so that means that you have to be very, very diligent on this, meaning that if you, as you're paying this down, if your debt is going up, you're going to need to, give some allowances on the time frame that is going to take you to pay this off. Okay, so this is assuming that you're going to pay these minimum balances every single month, and whatever extra cash you have over is going to tackle your first debt. Okay, so you're going to snowball the effect here. So that's why it's called the snowball method. Like you're basically going to get this, as you're building that snowball going down the hill, it starts off small and then it just grows on itself. Okay, and becomes bigger and bigger. Okay. So the amount of time that you need to pay off your first low balance is 5 months. Then your next debt will be paid off in 9 months. And that's because you're snowballing all of the extra cash and all of your minimum payments into the next debt. Okay. So when you pay off the first one, that $10 from the first one now moves to your second one. It's not $10 for you to go and save and spend. Okay. It is towards your debt payment. Okay, so that's how you read the time to pay off. Okay, now the interest payment. Now, this was really interesting for me to put together. On your $5,000 debt here that you have, you're paying a 22% interest rate. Because it's such a high interest rate, the amount of interest that you're going to pay for that 5 months is $278. That's a lot of interest to be paying on one debt. Okay. But as you pay that down, it's going to eliminate itself, and you're going to put that onto the next debt. And the amount of interest that you have to pay will decrease because you're tackling the principal. Okay. So there's a note here on this in this blue cell or purple cell. So to pay down your loans faster, you must put money towards the principal. Okay, so you must pay more than the minimum. So if you're just paying the minimum, you are going to be in debt for life. Okay, hands down, there's no arguing on that. If you just pay this minimum amount, you are not ever going to be debt free. You need to pay extra towards your principal. You need to pay more than the minimum. Okay, now if you are an investor, stocks or business or real estate, okay, there is good debt, and those debts you want to have forever. Okay, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about bad debt. This is consumer debt. This is debt that is not generating you income. Okay, so this is the snowball method. So what this is telling you is that you want to pay your lowest balance off first, and this is the time frame that it's going to take to pay it off. Okay, that's it. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the math behind this, because these red tabs down here, that is an automatic spreadsheet that takes the data that you put in from the current tab, the snowball, the sorting tabs, and it will calculate everything out for you. Okay, so when you get this spreadsheet, don't get overwhelmed by, hey, you know what? I don't understand the math behind this. You don't need to. Okay, you don't need to even click on the red tabs. Just know that, okay, you know what? If I am diligently paying off this minimum amount and I put any extra cash that I have to pay it off, it will take me this amount of time to pay it off. That's all you need to worry about. Okay, let's jump into this avalanche method. So the avalanche method tackles it by the interest rate, the highest interest rate first. So you can see here it's already organized. Okay, 29, 25, 22, 10%. Okay, so it's tackling the highest one first. Okay, so in this one here, the MasterCard RBC is the first one because it's got the highest interest rate. Now, the interesting thing is that you're going to see a payoff of this in 5 months. So that's actually the same thing as this lower carrying balance, right? So that instant gratification is actually still there. So, when you're trying to figure out, well, is it better for me to do the snowball or the avalanche? In this particular case, based on these numbers, it doesn't matter, right? Because you're still going to see that instant gratification in 5 months. Okay. Now, the next one, though, is going to be paid off in 15 months. This is where it's going to be difficult because you're not going to see anything for over a year. Okay. And if you're paying this down, you might be like, oh my God, I just want to go and get some ice cream, right? Like you just want some more gratification, and you're not going to get that from doing the avalanche. Whereas the snowball one, you'll see that in 9 months. Okay. The reason for that is because the next highest paying interest rate is 25%. Okay. And that's also at $15,000 in debt. Okay. So if this one was a lower debt amount, then that would be paid off a lot faster. Okay. So to do the avalanche, it's the same idea. You pay the minimum balance on every single thing every single month. And then whatever extra cash, which is the 1,200, goes towards paying that highest bearing interest rate first. When that one's paid off after 5 months, you roll the 10. So you're still paying the minimum balance every single month. You roll the $10 into the next highest interest rate amount as your minimum payment, and you roll the $1,200 into your minimum payment for the next item. Okay. You have to roll it in. Okay. So once you roll it in, then your next item will be paid off. And once that one's paid off, then you roll the minimum balance up to your $10, your minimum balance of $350. You roll those two items into your next highest interest rate along with the $1,200. Then you take all that and you will now be tackling the principal on that significantly a lot faster. So the difference between your 15 months and your 19 months is a 4-month difference. So you'll actually see that fairly quickly. Whereas on the next one, you don't see that for a huge chunk of time. Okay. So in this example here, by the time you're done with the avalanche or the snowball, it's the amount of time. Okay. The interest amount that you're saving between doing the snowball and the avalanche barely makes a difference here. Like we're talking about $1,000 to $2,000. Okay, in the whole scheme of things, it's not really going to make a difference here. So just get going on paying down something. Get going on making sure you make the minimum and making sure that whatever extra cash you have goes towards paying that first loan that you're paying off, whether it's the highest amount or the highest interest rate. It doesn't matter. Just get it down. Okay. Now, in this example here, we're carrying a debt load of $1 million. Like that's a lot of debt to be carrying for bad debt. But this is also because we've got $850,000 in a mortgage here. Like that is a lot of mortgage to be carrying, even if it's at 5%, right? Like that is a $5,000 mortgage payment every single month. Okay. So when you are filling this table out, this table is what's going to affect all the other future calculations on here. If you don't have the exact numbers, don't worry about it. Just get the name, a rough number, the interest rate, and the minimum amount. Even if you're off by 1 or 2%, it's okay. Even if you're off by $1,000 or $2,000 on the amount owing, it's okay. Don't let that stop you from carrying through on this. Okay. And then your minimum payments, this one helps if you can pull it from your statement. If you have your statement, then all of this information should be relatively easy to get. Okay. And then the last piece of item that you need to put in here is how much cash do you actually have at the end of the month to pay, at the beginning of the month to pay for your stuff. So really it's your income. Okay. and then minus your other expenses. Now, if you put all your expenses on your credit card, then this amount should just be your income. Okay. So that's one way to look at it as well. Okay, so there you go. That is 30 minutes of trying to figure out how to pay off your debt. So now, if you are in a debt situation and you need some help walking through this, please reach out to me. My company is available to help with stuff like this. Okay, like that's what we live for. We help families pay off their mortgage, pay off their debt, and then leveraging that to buy assets, to buy investments so that we can have that financial independence that we want. Okay, so my name is Hung Liu, and that is one episode of Money Matters. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful week.